about language arts. So I have recently decided over the past 2 to 3 months, and then even more recently on some other things, to basically go back to the basics. Um, I love a lot of the curriculums we have used, but there's been a lot that I have not loved. And I know I hear this a lot. I've, been homeschooling for 10 years, that every child learns differently, and that is so, so true. Also, consistency. I do know that there are things that if you're not consistent, they're just not going to get it. And I've had to work on that myself. But I'm going to talk to you today about language arts. We have previously used Christian Light Education. Started out this year with Rod and Staff. This is the second year I have tried Rod and Staff, and it did not last past the first few weeks. It is just not for us, and that's okay. There are plenty of people who love Rod and Staff. It has great information. It's just not what my family needs, and that's okay. Christian Light Education, I love Christian Light Education. It has a lot of the elements that, I was incorporating. It is workbook style, and I've kind of realized as I've grown in my homeschooling journey that is not always what sticks with a child. It's easy to get a workbook and fill in the blanks, and then later on, you don't really remember. You're just filling in the blanks. So I wanted to work on some of that, and my 6th grader is my only son. I have 4 children, 3 girls, 1 boy. And his attention span and everything is totally different than his sister's. And that's okay as well. That's fine. And so I wanted things that's going to stick with him. And whenever your child is just getting so overwhelmed with the workbook, sometimes it's okay to just move on. Sometimes you may want to stick with that because you know your child. You know if they're really struggling or if they're just being obstinate and don't want to do their work. So with that being said, I wanted to go back. What I'm saying, my back to basics things here, is Harvey's grammar. Harvey's elementary grammar and composition. I bought this quite a few years ago. Tried it with my oldest daughter. She'd done about 30-something lessons in it, and it was fine. It wasn't, a big deal. The thing is, with her, she's not the type to come every time and say, hey, can you explain this to me? Because most of the time she understands it on her own. And then there would be a few times I was like, why didn't you come ask me? Oh, well, I thought I knew it. And so it was just kind of getting to where it was harder for me to check. I was just using a notebook. Sometimes if your children don't have the best handwriting, because I'm still constantly working on my children to do their handwriting better, it's hard to read. And so we were just both kind of getting frustrated with it, and we went back to Christian Light. So she finished the Christian Light Education language arts all the way through 8th, I think. No, we didn't do every year because we have changed some things, but overall, we started 1st grade with Christian Light, learning to read, language arts, math, reading and things. And I have definitely changed from using all of that over the years. So for my son, we went back to this, or I went back to this. He had never used it before. And it was originally published in 1880. Mott Media republished it. You can get this book for free as a PDF online. You can just Google Harvey's Elementary Grammar and Composition. And if you just want to print it out and try it, you can. The book is also very reasonable on eBay. I actually have 2 copies because I already owned the one that I had bought. And I just every now and then I would pull it out and maybe I should try this. And then I was like, well, sometimes it's just easy to grab the workbook. But I wanted something that my child's going to understand and it's going to stick. And this seems to be working. And I love obviously, let me just put this in real quick. I love old books. I love vintage things. I love antiques. I love things like that in general. But also, the education system from years ago, just seems a little different. Let me put it that way. And I realized that a love of learning and learning to read really helps educate you. And then it really does not take a book this thick to teach you the same concepts that you're learning every year. So, that being said, if you teach a child that a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea, that's not going to change from 5th grade to 6th grade. That's not going to change from 5th grade to 9th grade. So the information is there, and it needs to be presented in a way that it's going to stick, is all I'm saying. So that being said, we use this. The lessons are in here. And like I said, all you need is this book and a notebook if that's what you want to use. For us, I did find these student workbooks. They are from the authors of classical writing. I don't remember the website that originally I saw these on. I just Googled workbook for Harvey's grammar, and it took me to a website. It's not available in PDF that I found. You have to get these consumable books. I purchased these on eBay though. The entire set plus this book. Even though I already had one and it came with it, it actually helps me to kind of have what I call my teacher's copy. That way I can follow along and teach from my desk if I need to. And so this is the workbook. It's just really the lessons, what it's telling you to write in a regular notebook. It's just giving you the space to do it in here, basically. I mean, that's pretty much all it is. And so I feel like we're using this, and he has actually, some things have stuck a little better, I think. It also has these little boxes for a lot of lessons that says grammar notebook, and that is just vocabulary from the book, and the definition is in this book, and they want you to write it. So basically you make a reference book. We started doing that when we first got it. Really haven't been doing that lately. It seems to be going fine without writing the definitions, but it's okay. I mean, if he wants to go back and do that, we will. And sometimes I may be like, hey, do you remember what this means? And if you don't, we need to write it down in your notebook. So it comes with part 1, a part 1 answer key for this, a part 2, and a part 2 answer key. This is something I purchased separately on eBay years ago when I got the first copy of the book. It's just the answer key. So if you want to just use these two to teach grammar and composition, this is all you need with a notebook. Or a whiteboard, or, whatever you want. I prefer pencil and paper myself. We do whiteboard work on other, subjects at times, but I still prefer pencil and paper. And I'm not going to get into a whole lot of like the lessons and stuff, but I mean, it's grammar. So you're learning your parts of speech, you're learning your punctuation, all the things you would learn in a grammar course. It is presented, I feel like, in a simple to understand way. Now, the language may be a little more old-fashioned than some people are used to. I've always loved to read growing up and stuff, so I've read a number of books that had old-fashioned language, so that's fine. I don't mind that. My children read older books because, well, one day I'd like to give you a tour of my bookshelves because I love old books. Obviously, the name of my channel, Vintage Homeschooling. So I love old things in general. Anyway, so this is what we're doing right now. We are probably not going to get to part 2 before we finish up for our summer break. Possibly are going to finish part 1. So it's broken up. There's like 130 something lessons in this book. And it's broken up into part 1 is 48 lessons. And then in the very back, it says part 3. But all it is basically vocabulary. And they want you to go over the punctuation section in the actual book, which is in the very back. It's just teaching you what they are and reviewing, basically. And it's part 3. And that is in both workbooks, the punctuation review. But then the second part picks up from the first, from 49 all the way to 123. So we're gonna more than likely finish up this before our summer break, or as close as we can. Then we will finish it if we don't, when we start back, and do part 2. Now, you know, you may think, well, that's not going to last all of 7th grade, part 2. And it probably won't. And we'll go on to something else, or just maybe focus more on writing. I haven't quite gotten there yet with what I want to use next year for everything. But I will say this has been working really well. I still love Christian Light. I do. It's very easy. It's very easy to take with you. I say easy, not talking about the work. The work can be challenging. It's easy to grab and go. And sometimes we need that. Sometimes I need the simplicity of my child can read most of this and do most of the work independently. And that's okay. But I'm finding out he's doing a lot of this work independently. And I'm saying, hey, do you need my help? Oh, I've got it. Do you understand it? Yes, I do. So that's really nice. And, you know, I try to go back and check his work and really want to focus on the upcoming year on writing, so that he can have proper form, you know, for papers and essays and things. So to complete, you know, our language arts, I'm also using the McGuffey's, sorry about the glare, Eclectic Spelling Book. This is the revised one. I've used this in the past. I broke it up when I first got it. I just divided all the lessons up from 1st through 8th grade, stuck the sticky note in there. And like I said, back and forth, we've used it. Right now, my 4th graders are also using it. And we are on lesson 160 for 6th grade. And what I do, I have McGuffey's sheets, spelling sheets. I have a video about it if you haven't seen those. I pick 15 words. I put little check marks by them in my book. And I either write them on the chalkboard or make a copy, and, you know, so they know which words I want them to go over. And then that's what we work on for the week, is the one lesson. Day 1, writing the words, writing some sentences. Day 2, we break it up into syllables. We discuss, you know, if they have prefixes, things like that. Day 3, do more sentences with, you know, the different words. And if they don't know what the word means, a lot of times I'll just tell them. But then if they keep asking, I'm like, go get a dictionary, so that they still get that dictionary work in. They still know how to go find the book to look up something without just asking somebody or Googling everything. We do use computers, by the way, if anybody's wondering about that. But I do prefer books. I do prefer paper. That's just, I learned really well that way, and I just feel like it works. So to go along with the spelling book, I had purchased these flashcards. It's been 2 or 3 years ago, maybe, from Land of Kakiak. She is on YouTube. She has an Etsy shop, and it's spelling rules. So they learned a lot of rules and stuff with Christian Light from 1st grade on up to, you know, wherever we've stopped at. But sometimes it's hard to remember all the spelling rules. It's hard for me to remember all the spelling rules. So what I'll do is just go pick, you know, we'll start at number 1, go over rule number 1, and I go over with my 4th and 6th grader at the same time. We learn rule number 1. That's day, you know, the first time if we starting it. Then the day 2, I go over rule number 1. We learn rule number 2. And just keep going that way. And we review each previous rule before going on to the next one. And there's like 31, my card's here. 31 rules. And then there's just a few. It's like vocabulary, like accent. And she tells what an accent is. And vowels, and what are vowels. Syllables, you know. So that's what's making up my 6th graders language arts right now. So that's why I'm calling it Back to Basics. We have flashcards. We have one little book that can be used for grades 1 through 8. We have one small book that can be used for multiple grades. And then, although it's not necessary, I have enjoyed using these so far. And we have the teacher's answer key. I really don't know what else to say about it. I was just kind of giving a little update on using this, and maybe when I get to do another video, I will show you what we're doing for math right now, because even though I love Christian Light, once again, I love their math, I love, their language arts, some children just need something that's not a workbook and something that's not, circling back around so quickly that they're forgetting from, day to day what they've learned. So this is my very simplified Back to Basics language arts program.